Okay, so right now I'm reading Spiral Dynamics by Don Edward Beck, and it mentions something which I've been thinking about for a while, especially with the recent political landscape. It says here, um, the future presents, Graves wrote in 1974, three distinct possibilities. A massive regression back to our Stone Age beginnings if we fail to stabilize our world's weapons and endangered resources. Two, a version of George Orwell's 1984, embodied in forms of blue, orange, green, tyrannical, manipulative government with glossed over communitarian overtones. And three, the emergence of a second tier approach to business and society which would be fundamentally different from the one we know today. Equipped to act locally and plan globally while acting globally and planning locally at the same time. The choice inevitably, they say, is yours. So the quote there, um, well, just to give it a quick rundown, the reason I'm making this video is because I want to talk about solutions, providing solutions to individuals who find topics around self-development to be productive and fulfilling. So throughout my journey, it's been around 6 months that I've been looking into business and looking how to integrate that with multiple interests, and then also navigating human relations on top of observing the current political landscape and continuing to follow up on my psychological studies and interests, and all the while producing content, right? So it's been a crazy 6 months, 9 months to be honest, but I feel very, very centered in my approach now in terms of how I want to move forward and how I want to serve the world. Anyways, what I've found through my 9 months of continual refinement of these concepts that I have in my mind is that one has to be able to provide a solution both at a global and at a local level, at a collective and at an individual level. And if we think about it, the collective would be sort of like these political or solutions being presented. So it's like the sociology versus the psychology, right? The sociology has to do with the societies, also pretty similar to anthropology, while the psychology has to do with the individual pathologies or also just individual development. Um, Me being a spiritual dude, if I had to, this spiritual inclination is something that I use more so not as a belief system but as an approach, and so looking to refine the essence of the thing that I'm looking at and pinpointing exactly what the essence of that thing is, because often we are moved by the form of things rather than the essence of things, and so we move very much outside of the target. So my job has been recently to really refine the concepts that I have in my mind. What is love? What is humility? What is patience? What is business? What is creativity? What is purpose? What is the soul? So constantly refining these things, and then being able to apply them in a way that connects to the external world. And when I'm looking at what's going on right now in the at least what happened with the elections, I think it's beautiful to pick up a book like this that I've been thinking about for a while, and to have it outline the different stages of development. It calls it the memes, calls it memes, um, which are basically points of view, perceptions that people embody, um, their worldviews basically. Each meme can manifest itself in both healthy and unhealthy forms. Meme is a discrete structure for thinking, not just a set of ideas, values, or cause. Right? So, for example, the red being, let's look at what they use here. So, beige means subsistence needs to be met in order to remain alive. Purple is nurtured through observing rituals, finding reassurance, and by expressing a sense of enchantment in life's mystery. Red is excited by stories of company heroes. Blue is reinforced through appeals to traditions. Orange is exercised by displaying symbols of success, individuals being recognized for their achievements. Green is enhanced by stressing the importance of the people, responsiveness to feelings, and caring social and a caring, socially responsible community. Green, I take that to be very closely aligned to the democratic, what I was saying, mostly the democratic ways of thinking, which I believe to be completely valid, but just misinterpreted and a little bit far off from the center. What the book goes into, though, is that is kind of like the top of the first tier, though, which is I think a good thing. I think people are recognizing the value of other individuals. People are recognizing the value of feelings, although they might be too attached to the feelings. I think moving forward, the second tier is much more driven by a holistic approach, a more integrative approach. The turquoise, for example, let's see. So yellow seeks to find natural ways of living that focus energies. So the focus now is on competence and functionality and qualities of being, not having or even doing within the context of flexible and open systems that can, for the first time, take the full spiral into account without the blinders of the first tier meme. So basically, that's a lot of talk, but the second tier individual lies outside of these structures, outside of these worldviews, where he starts to see everything as interconnected, and so he gives every single thing some sort of value and doesn't negate the worldviews, but in fact integrates them. So Ken Wilber added the fact, or the idea of transcend and include, and through my process I've understood that is the key. You transcend a worldview, but you do not reject the previous one that you just left, because it takes a lot of compassion and complexity to be able to embody these different perspectives while still having an understanding of there being a hierarchy and there being a matter of importance to each one, and understanding that there are nuances involved in knowing how to treat all of these different perspectives, especially when they're clashing between each other. And that's the really important part, the clashing. And that's what I really wanted to comment on in this video, which is right now we are undergoing a big shift as a society in the world. Lots of changes in thinking. I think that one must keep their eyes open to the next worldview, the transcendent function. What is the transcendent version of where I'm at? Because one can then easily get caught up in dogma and beliefs and get caught up in drama and also issues, and really doesn't solve the bigger problem. So learning to embody the bigger picture, that's a big trait of an individual who is both spiritual but practical. And here, this is something that I want to talk about, because like I mentioned earlier in the quote, being able to address both the global and the local, both the collective and the personal. So what I understood is that solutions lie when you can do both, and that's not even about doing both, it's about understanding how one thing leads to the other. So I understand, at least for myself, I see that psychology is a solution in my world, just because that is my competency. But I believe that if people understood themselves, learn to govern themselves, learn to take care of themselves, they would learn to treat others the same, but also they would then learn to create systems that also treat others in a similar fashion. So it's a self-sustaining system, and that is a projection of something internal, which is a self-sustaining individual. So I think that inherently psychology and self-development carries this capacity to transform an individual's perspective, to make it much more connected to the outside world, to the impact that he carries in his life. You know, your life matters, and you impact the world more than you think. And so self-development and also enlightenment is really going to be the process of you understanding just how much you impact, and just how much further you can impact the world through your progression, through your self-development. And as you learn that, the magic and the beauty of this is that you then begin to create solutions at a systemic level, not just at an individual level or at a selfish level, but at a systemic level that will allow for communities to prosper, and for this country, and not just this country, me being the USA, but this whole world. And so then, I like people become people, authorities, the idea behind power structures, all that gets disintegrated, and you begin to see people as people, and brothers, and everybody as brothers, and you being playing this game of collective progression. So I think that it's important, if you're watching this and you're a spiritual individual, or you consider yourself to be a practical individual delving into spirituality. Both can feed off each other, and if you can begin to question just how that happens, then you'll be able to really step into something that will bring much more meaning, but also much more impact, and will continue to really refine your skills and gifts to a level where it actually serves the population. um, yeah, that's really it. I think the solution lies in serving both the masses and the individual. The individual is a part of a larger system, and the larger system also impacts the individual. So the clearer you get onto the individual, or you educate yourself on the system, the much more easier it becomes for you to carry much more responsibility and much more power. Long talks. Hopefully that's helpful, bro. I mean, that's really big, but yeah, thanks for tuning in. You already know, stay listening. Peace.